So lining up on the runway now, Rich Goodwin in the jet pits. This is his first air show in the jet pits outside of the UK, but the first of several this season.
Indeed, Belgium, France, so far, and this is just such a I must mention the fantastic atmosphere we have here today.
So a nice knife edge pass to start, and shortly up into the vertical, power being applied by the two jets, and we'll let you enjoy the noise thereof. And that's not something that a pits should be able to do straight from takeoff.
It should not. It should not. Only allowed to do 8 minutes yesterday. We think we have the full 11 minutes display today.
Yes, there were a couple of manoeuvres missing, and that included one of our favourites, which is the final pass into an almost fast jet-style spiral climb. But there into the first of the tumbling manoeuvres of the display.
As I said yesterday, we ratchet strapped Richard in. He was quite nervous as well.
Yes, he was saying last night that even though it shouldn't really have any effect when you look at it on a purely objective level, there is some extra pressure and nerves that come with displaying in a new venue in a new country.
It's the same sky, but he is only human, honestly. Some people doubt it, and he does get nervous, but a little bit of nerves is I think it's beneficial and helpful for the display that he does.
So there, a 180-degree flat inverted turn, ending with some snap rolls and then a vertical climb away from us. And adding some more rolls, but hiding behind his own smoke there as he does so. And you were saying yesterday that the fact there are two jet engines bolted to the side of this aircraft producing a lot of gyroscopic force themselves, some of these sort of flick roll type manoeuvres are a little bit more limited than they perhaps otherwise would be, yet still immensely impressive.
As I said, it's still a very new aircraft. And we found that with running the jets at full power, they're doing 46,000 RPM, and the gyroscopic effect on the fan at the front was putting such gyroscopic loads on the bearings that we were actually stressing the bearings to their limits. So, but we've modified the display to be able to maintain the engines in good condition all the way through the season.
And how do you monitor the engine health? Is it something that's done over the course of every single display? There are instruments in the cockpit?
Absolutely. Not instruments as such. It's quite bizarre. The AMT team in Holland, they said the best way to determine the quality of the bearings and the actual maintenance within the engine is just to spin it by hand and see how long it takes to stop again. And that's it. Yeah, listen to it for noise and see how long it takes to wind down just with the spin of the hands, and see how long it takes to stop. As the bearings wear, it stops quicker, and it's as simple as that.
Well, there we have the double hammerhead, and that was a full 2 spins today. We got sort of 1.5 yesterday.
Yes, indeed.
So Rich will be happy with that, using full asymmetric thrust and rudder to generate those spins.
So it's full right rudder to oppose the thrust that he applies, and then it's a kick of left rudder, and you can get 2 hammerheads or 2 stall turns.
And now a loop with a triple negative snap roll at the apex. And all the control surfaces custom made on this aircraft.
Indeed, they're saw wings, designed in the States by Eddie Sorderman. Fantastic. They are much bigger than the standard Pitts S2S or S2B. They are fantastic in design, and it's such a revelation compared to the old Pitts wings and ailerons. I mean, the control surfaces are so much bigger. It's quite unbelievable, which helps actually because of the loads of the jet engines. We had to test them asymmetrically, and is the aircraft fully controllable with one engine out with those controls? Yes, it is.
Now I think we're shortly to come into the first hovering manoeuvre. So what's going on in the cockpit here?
I'd like to say that all is harmony, but honestly, with every single flight he does, the conditions are slightly better or slightly different. Even the fact it's warmer and cooler today means there's different power output from the piston engine, which therefore it creates slightly different gyroscopic effects. So he'd like to say he can control every single flight the same. It's just not possible.
And of course the handling of the aircraft changing not just from one display to the next, but also over the course of the display.
You're so right. It burns 60 litres of jet fuel, smoke oil of course, and the fuel for the aviation gasoline, the jet fuel. It's burning about 80 litres of fuel during this performance.
Now here a manoeuvre called the Tower of Power. Or maybe not, we might have... Rich does deviate sometimes, doesn't he? So is this your Christmas tree?
It is. It is. And Richard used to spiral away at the end, but now he's going to do a flat spin in the centre and hopefully create the trunk of the Christmas tree.
And we're seeing the shape of the Christmas tree standing out so much better today against this blue sky, and actually looking up through the middle of the spiral there on our main camera.
And he should be able to bring it almost to a halt at the top and then put it into a flat spin and create a trunk of the tree. There is stationary almost, and then into the flat spin.
Oh yes, down he comes. Through what is so clearly from this angle a three-dimensional shape. Such an odd perspective.
Well, as I said yesterday, the idea was to bring a unique performing aircraft for the audiences that love to come to air shows, and that's what they want to see. They want to see something different and unique, and Richard has spent many, many years developing this unique aircraft. We absolutely love it. We're over the moon with its performance.
A negative G push there, and we get our drones into the air, I notice, and I think the plan is to chase Richard down during his knife edge pass, which is one of his final manoeuvres.
So indeed the aircraft is so much lighter now, he can really hover at will. As I said yesterday, to hover and remain in control and not rotate, you need about 15 knots of airflow over the ailerons to counteract the torque of the engine. But if he comes into a complete hover, then there's nothing to stop the airframe rotating around the propeller. Helicopters have tail rotors. This is tail rotorless. And don't ask, no, it's not in the plans. So as you see, into the hover, there's nothing to stop the rotation, and he cannot stop the rotation as actually the airframe is trying to be turned by the propeller in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I remember at one point there was speculation about whether that could be partly absolved by canting the two jet engines in slightly different directions, but ultimately it was decided not to do that.
At the moment, such a new aircraft, with things that in the pipeline for the aircraft.
And there's that final spiral climb that I was talking about earlier. It's shooting up like the Royal Air Force Eurofighter Typhoon solo display's final manoeuvre, but it's a pits.
People were asking, are we going to put afterburners on the jets? No.
Yes, I remember a question last year as well. Could the aircraft have a pyro firing system fitted to it? But there's so much in there already, there's no space.
There's no room. As you say, we have 3 tanks. There's the smoke oil, the jet fuel, and the aviation fuel for the petrol engine. But also then we have to have collector tanks. So the plumbing in that aircraft is just astronomical, and there's simply no room for anything more in that aircraft.
So a slightly shortened display again today, and I think that's because we're running about 2 to 3 minutes behind schedule at the moment, and somewhere in the holding pattern there is a Polish Air Force M346 Master waiting for its turn to fly. So getting Rich back on the ground now.
I don't know if you get comments, but I'll have to say it in case it's not said. The atmosphere here is just... I just look around and go, wow, this is a fantastic... We've been so well received here at Leszno. It's just such another fantastic show. It's absolutely brilliant here. I'm loving it to bits.
It is my favourite air show in the world,
yeah.
and I know you were here last year and left saying something very similar.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, absolutely incredible event. Well, here comes Rich, and I wonder if he's going to shut down his piston engine and taxi in just on the jets, as is his party piece when there is enough fuel remaining.
Actually, there's a problem when doing that. There's now very little airflow over the rudder. So actually steering the aircraft, it can only be done with differential throttles of the jets.
Right.
So now the rudder is pretty sort of futile, and he's controlling or steering the aircraft with the jet engines. And as he departs, I will also depart. Adam, absolute pleasure as always. I don't know where the next time will be, but I'm looking forward to it already.
Yeah, likewise. Always a pleasure to have you come up and help talk through the display.
Yeah, we'll see you in the bar later.
See you there.
Yeah.